Welcome to the meeting room at Global TV Talk Show, a broadcast service of globalbusinessnews.net.
Now, here's your host, Ed Cohen.
It's Friday, and this is Global TV Talk Show, and I welcome you again. Our special guest is Avital Miller. It's a beautiful name and a great person. This is interview number 2 in a series, and we're going to be talking about, now get this now, full-bodied mastery of what?
Well, it's full body success mastery. So it's mastery of success.
Success.
Ooh.
Right. Okay. We're done.
Ooh,
Drum roll. And here's Avital, the beautiful name. And once again, for the audience, why don't you describe the background of your first name, and because it is unusual. And at first, I thought it was a bird of some kind, but it's not. But that's from having no knowledge at all. I just imagined.
Yeah, Avital is my birth name, and I was not called that. I was called Tolly as a nickname from birth. My aunt showed up at the hospital with a gift for Tolly, and I always wanted to go by my full name. I'm living at a yoga community, and everyone's changing their name to a Sanskrit name. And I thought, well, the purpose to have a spiritual name, it's not necessarily to have it in a specific language. And I already have a beautiful spiritual name. It means DEW of my father, which represents being the sustainer of God. But I thought, okay, well, I already have a beautiful spiritual name that I don't use, but I've always wanted to. So I got my name officially, my nickname officially changed back to Avital. And anytime somebody wants to give me a nickname, I tell them it's Avital.
You got that. Okay. So what kind of exercise have you done today so far? And where you are right now, it's in Denver and it's 4 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, the biggest form of exercise is racking my mind.
No, I'm that's what I suffered with all day today, trying to find new business opportunities, racking my brain. Why do I do that? And what I discovered, I'll be real quick here because it's your show, not mine. So it's a repetitive thing. You just have to keep focused. In this end of my business, which I was working on this morning, which is marketing and new business creation.
Mm-hmm.
And the product that is hot these days, more than ever, I've had it a long time, but it's really become hot, meaning there's a demand to learn more about it and to maybe do it, and some are doing it. So I said, I better get more. So, which is this interview idea of, say, 20 minutes or so, all about you and your brand and your life, and well, how did you get to where you are today, and to apply just those elements as a foundation for conversation with people who I've never met before, other than maybe a couple of times, particularly on Zoom the past 2 years, because you just haven't got to meet a number of people in person for 2 years now. Well, anyway, that's my shtick. So full-bodied mystery, mastery, not a mystery.
No, I mean, it can be a mystery as to how do we unravel, how do we become masters of success? And you were asking about how I got here and about what fitness I did today. So I started with the fitness of the mind because I have an engineering degree. And then I was a program manager at Microsoft.
Yeah.
I also got a major in dance because I loved the fitness of the physical as well. And then I became a yoga and fitness expert. So I actually did yoga this morning as my physical fitness. And I became a teacher trainer and a fitness director. And then I started having health issues. And it's in that process of exploring, what could I do to help myself? I mean, the doctors gave me this diagnosis and you're stuck with it for life, like it's an arranged marriage. So I'm like, okay, what do I do about this? How do I live in the best way? And all of a sudden I'm starting to get better beyond what the doctors explained was possible. And then I'm meeting people who were told they're going to die in a few months or a few hours. And you can imagine what I'm thinking, like, how is it this many people are healing beyond what science understands? Is there another?
That's really interesting. Let's back up a little bit, okay, to make sure we don't drop people out of the covered wagon here. So that metaphor is going across Colorado towards the mountains and people are dropping out because they're afraid of what's going to be on the mountain. So never mind the other side of it. So the health situations, is it related to dance or is it more internal mechanisms?
Oh, well, the specific health issues that, what is it related? I have like 10 answers. I'm just going to be honest with you. Because I'll tell you what the doctors diagnosed, and then I could tell you what others doctors actually perceive that to be, and then when you read books about the mind, body, spirit connection, and you get to the mind and the spirit and the emotions, what could be those facets. And so it's related on a lot of different levels. I changed my diet. I changed my lifestyle. I looked at where there's stress and how to get rid of or heal that. I started meditating regularly, right? There was a joke that I went from meditation to medication, because that's when I actually started getting tapered off of medicine, was when I started to meditate more. And there's a lot of reasons behind this. And that's why I say full bodied. It's not just your physical body, it's all your bodies. It's mental, emotional, spiritual, energetic as well. So yeah, if you're asking for the prognosis or the diet, what caused this, there were definitely a diet of not enough nutrient greens and natural foods. There was a lifestyle of being in relationships where I'm not fully expressing what I want, right? That's going to the other extreme, because it had to do with the throat and the thyroid gland, the issues that I've been having. But yet here I am communicating, teaching 25 to 30 classes a week, managing 100 people, teaching teacher training. And how could I possibly have issues with communication? So that's where we get to take a deeper look and say, oh,
so it's really interesting. So my dad was a football player when he was a young man, and semi-pro, of course, a long time ago. And he let himself go. I don't know why, frankly. There's a lot of mysteries. That's one of them. But one of the causes of death, not the exact cause, but the breakdown in health was thyroid, which he ignored. I don't know why. So that's how I learned about that. So please go on.
Yeah. I mean, I can go on and on about, sort of reasons that contribute, right, to the thyroid issues. But so the doctors will say it's Hashimoto's and hypothyroidism. But there's other medical practitioners who will say, especially when you talk about an autoimmune disorder, it's really the body trying to get rid of something that isn't you. And so there's a belief that there's a virus in the thyroid, which could be Epstein-Barr virus. It could be Lyme disease. So those are a couple of the ones that have come up.
Epstein-Barr is part of thyroid? Or vice versa?
No. It's just a virus, but it's sitting anywhere in your body. So it just happened that the doctors kind of found that the antibodies that are connected with the thyroid are the ones that were escalated in my body. Maybe other antibodies were also escalated, but we didn't test those because we didn't have that understanding.
Yeah. Interesting. Wow. Okay. So I'm sorry to interrupt, but So last time we talked about dance and we just playing with each other. I said, so Bob Fosse, which was a great style. I love that stuff. A Cabaret, and then Chicago, and a couple other movies. I can't remember the names right now. But man, I just love that energy and that sharpness and quickness. And you said you like that too.
I love everything with movement. Yeah.
So do you do ballet? Did you do that?
Yeah. I actually, that's the thing that I do the most regularly is take ballet classes. And sometimes I'll perform more like ballet lyrical inspired types of pieces, but it creates a great foundation to launch from for all the rest of the dance practices that I do.
Hi, this is Ed, and I thank you for tuning in to Global TV Talk Show, a unit on globalbusinessnews.net. We broadcast to the world, as you know by now. So I wanted to make sure that you understand that our programs are advertising supported. We're grateful for co-sponsors, advertisers. They have a marketing budget coupled with a strong desire to be associated with our top quality program. And of course, I'm grateful. Thank you. So for the next few minutes, you're going to see some commercials. It's mostly very low key, and our prices are very, very reasonable. Our exposure for the advertisers go 12 months and beyond. Some of our advertisers have been with us since April of 2020. And Google Analytics has tracked over 125,000 what they call audience page views, which means you looking at this page, that's a page view. Now, if you happen to go to one of our other shows or to our radio broadcasts or to our newspaper or magazine, those become additional page views as measured by Google Analytics. And so when they say 125,000 since spring of 2020 up through Labor Day, a month ago, that's pretty good numbers. And the past 30 days, Google Analytics has measured just under 6,000 audience page views. And that, according to them, is a 42% increase in audience participation over the month of August. So thank you very much. Well, here's our advertisers, and we'll be back in just a couple of minutes or so, and we'll proceed with this interesting conversation. Thank you.
This episode from the meeting room of Global TV Talk Show is brought to you by Porch Light Rental and Destination Services. Reduce your renter lump sum or managed relocation costs. Visit them at porchlightrental.com.
And by airs.com. With our full range of services, we can help design and manage your international relocation. Find us at airs.com.
Primestone Partners, featuring corporate, government, and developer housing solutions, as well as senior-level advisory services. Find them at primestonepartners.com.
Stop dreaming and start living overseas. International lifestyle consultant Emily Braun can help you seamlessly transition to your new life in your dream destination. Whether you are a retiree, a digital nomad, or a mobile executive, Emily Braun can make your transition overseas a success. Visit emilybraun.com.
Coutalis is a global group with a worldwide footprint. With 16 agencies in 10 countries, Coutalis offers companies and mobile professionals a unique combination of HR services and options. Find us at coutalis.com.
Take your communication skills to the next level. Barbara Bolt of Bolt Global has a passion to make you shine. As our globe expands, Effective intercultural communication and presentation is a must. Visit boltglobal.com.
So it's interesting. One of our early advertisers in this series, going back 2 years now, was an online private school, and it was set up specifically because the headmaster, a woman, and she was into ballet, and she said, and she remembered having trouble in high school or wherever because she wanted to practice and go on tour because she was really good at a young age. It was several years ago now, but the schools couldn't adapt to her schedule. She had to adapt to the schools. So as things worked out, she's got into education practices and online, professional, accredited online, as an alternative to public high school or public schools, whereby the curriculum could be interrupted and then picked up at 8 o'clock at night or whenever, not in a rigid section. So part of the advertising campaign that they had around that topic was little girls dressed up and doing the ballet thing and all that, because it was beautiful. Anyway, I get it.
I grew up as a gymnast, and my mother was hoping that I would be normal. It didn't work, but she was hoping that I would be normal, so she did not put me in the competitive level training. So I didn't have, that much, schooling in gymnastics. I did start dancing in junior high, and I pretty much after school would go to the dance studio and then do my homework. But I met a rhythmic gymnast at my dance studio who was a total pro. She really was homeschooled. That was how they figured out how to work around it. So her life surrounded around the gymnastics, and then she did the school on the side.
Isn't that
And I'd
interesting?
say, I mean, that is something that you need to do at that young age. So why not do your schooling education later anyways, and do that physical thing while you can, while your body can handle it.
Yeah. Okay. So let's get into your specific topic and then relate all this stuff to that.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. Full-bodied mastery of who you are, right? Or who you want to be.
Well, this is full-bodied success mastery. So how do you define success? I would say that everyone defines success, but we're typically looking at success being a type of result that we want. And what we want to do is create a guideline of how we're going to get there. Basically what I did was, after going through all these interviews of all these different health and healing experts with all these different miracle healing stories, is to say, what are the success strategies that they're using, and how do they relate to other areas of life? Because how we approach success in one area is how we can approach it to other areas. So besides the fact that this taps into all layers of your being, it can also be applied to all areas of life. You want to know what they are? I've pulled 4 top full-bodied success mastery strategies. Okay, we've got, and you have to, I told you we're going to dance. So here we go. Put your hands on your heart.
Where is it? Here?
Friday, we have to have fun,
okay.
right? Well, I know you do the heart, hands in the center, and then you're going to reach your arms forward and open them as you say reason to live. So open your arms, reason to live. Focus on your reason to live. This vast, wide expanse of potential of what your reason to live could be. And it's probably bigger than what you imagine. But it can start with, I want to raise my kids. I want to see my grandkids walk down the aisle. I want to finish that book. But here's there's a couple really unique stories. One woman was staying alive to take care of her 9 cats. One woman stayed alive way beyond what the doctor said was possible, with the motivation to finish watching the soap opera series for the next few years when she was given just a few months. this is where we open up to really what inspires you. We were talking earlier about the fitness of the mind, and I was joking about that, but really a lot of what happened this week was to say, what do I want to focus my mind on? What is inspiring me to work on and to be the projects for this week that really tune into my passions and my reason to live? What creates that energetic response? In my book, Mamie Jean Lamley was told she would never have kids. She ended up figuring out how to have 3 beautiful kids. And she was doing one of her passions, teaching a class called Think Like a Leader, when she was on stage and got the call from her doctor that she needed to go to the emergency room right away because of advanced stage cancer. She underwent a number of surgeries, was separated from her kids during that time, and had to do things to figure out how to motivate herself to feel better and to be of support to her kids who were so far from her. And she went through multiple surgeries. It took quite some time to really get all of that out of her. But in the process, she starts drawing these mandalas. You remember drawing as a kid, the soothing feeling of it. And then her friends start doing it with her. And then she says, hey, why don't you write down a question about something you have in your life, and I'll give you a reading. So all of a sudden she has this gift of intuitive reading. Like, where does this come from? She makes it through all of this, says her number one thing is her kids. That's her goal. But the next thing was she wanted to empower 5 million women. And this story started with cancer. She said, cancer does not equal death, because how many times do we say, right, when we hear cancer, we think it equals death.
What is intuitive learning?
Intuitive learning. Intuitive reading.
Reading, yeah.
Yep. So she had created this sense of intuition by being able to read people's mandala drawings. And by the way, I should say what these are. They're these beautiful, colorful patterns that they would draw on the ground with chalk or put rose petals floating on water in a pattern at a bunch of big events and spiritual ceremonies in India. So this is where the mandalas come from. But you could think of coloring beautiful patterns, and everyone creates their own design from their own heart, but with the intention of having a question answered. And she starts looking at their pictures, looking at their question, telling things about themselves, and it's completely solving the conflicts that they're having and leading them in the right direction. So these are the gift of the intuitive reading coming out of these challenges, coming out of her drive to figure out, how am I going to live for my kids, right? For my kids. So how much more can come out of when we focus on our reason to live. But here's the next question. So you get this wonderful idea, you start mentioning it to somebody, and they start telling you how hard it's going to be. You don't have the skills, you don't have the talents, it's never been done, it's impossible. So here's my number 2 full body success mastery strategy. And I want you to do this with me. Put one hand on your hip. I want to see some attitude. And you're going to reach one arm forward, and you're going to shake your finger. No, don't listen to everything. Don't listen to everything. Maureen Bell was given 6 to 8 weeks to live. It's another form of cancer called non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And there she is a couple months later, as predicted, in her deathbed. 85 pounds, morphine patches, oxygen tubes, unable to get up or eat. They're expecting her to die any moment. Her son comes to visit, remembering the strong single mom who raised him, who also believed in natural healing methods. So we asked her, why didn't you fight? Why didn't you fight? She's thinking, do I have a choice? Choice? From that moment, she started to heal. She had one more round of chemo that was supposed to happen as part of just helping her feel better, even though it wasn't going to help her live. She finally looked into what was in the drug. It was made from one of her favorite plants. So now she has a different relationship with the chemo. And normally it would take 9 to 10 hours to get into her body. This time it only took 3. Normally, and I know this is a little graphic, but her urine would turn blood red. This time it stayed its normal color. She was gaining weight and her hair was growing back in. And the nurses even called the doctor to say, are you giving her a placebo? They said, no way, not in her condition. So there's another thing. You don't have to listen to even what the side effects need to be of what the disease is, of what the treatment is. She started to heal. And relate this back to our daily life. Oprah Winfrey, Steven Spielberg, Albert Einstein, Lady Gaga, Michael Jordan. They were all told at some point they didn't have what it takes. Thank goodness they didn't listen, because look at the impact that they made on the world. And we all start the same place that they did. Which means imagine how much we could do, how far we could go in life if we just get really clear what we're going to listen to.
We are pleased to welcome Adamo Education as a proud sponsor of Global TV Talk Show.
The concept of a microschool is the reimagining of the one-room schoolhouse. My name is Tamara Becker. I'm the president and CEO of Adamo Education. The microschool concept really does not just lend itself to the personalization and the customization of learning, but also the social development and fostering that sense of love for learning. Unlike what we see in traditional brick and mortar schools, we have multiple grade levels in the same learning space. Students can be enriched by the socialization that they get, as well as the academic support from peers. What differentiates Adamo is the fact that we are taking the best pieces of brick and mortar, of digital, and then at-home learning. Students here can come 5 days a week. They can come 4 hours a day. It will really just depend on what is best for the student and for the parent. To enroll, just reach out via phone, text, or email, and we'll have that personalized conversation, and we'll be able to get you all set. Check us out at adamoeducation.org.
Become a global player in your field.
Cross Culture to Go provides virtual support for your global business and career success.
We can help you thrive in 140 plus countries and markets.
On the web at crossculturetogo.com.
Are you a music fan of Tony Bennett?
I don't know who that is.
Tony Bennett?
No.
Tony Bennett is an old jazz singer, you know, like I Left My Heart in San Francisco.
Oh, can you sing it?
Yeah. So anyway, he and Lady Gaga, by the way, he just turned 95 years old.
Wow.
And he and Lady Gaga put on a live performance in front of a packed house at Radio City Music Hall.
Oh my gosh.
And it was televised, so I watched it. So anyway, Lady Gaga, and who the hell is Lady Gaga? You know, this statuesque, energetic, brave woman.
Mm-hmm.
And who knew that she knew Tony Bennett? And then they were on the biggest stage in the world, really.
Wow.
Anyway, there you go.
That's amazing. Yep. See where things can go. I know. Even after what she did one of the Super Bowl half times, and people were still picking on her. I mean, look at where she is. Like, amazing. And here's the key of going through this process. It's doing what you could do. So the motion I like to give people is just circle your hands in front of your heart. It's actually an energy healing technique too. So we get some movement there of the energy, but do what you can do. So we take one step after the other, but we also take the steps that appeal to ourselves. Dr. Brooke Goldner had such a severe case of lupus that she was on chemo in high school. And she had a mini stroke. She decided she's going to be a doctor to help people like her suffer less. And she had a mini stroke when she was in residency. She's not expecting to live long, to have kids, for anyone to ever want to marry her. Lo and behold, she falls in love. 1 month later, he asks her to marry him. And she hadn't even told him about lupus yet. So she gave him the news flash. But he said, you know, a short life with you is better than none at all. And she was thinking,
that is cool.
I know. And she's thinking, oh my God, I only thought I'd ever wear a white coat. Now I can wear a white dress. I want to look fabulous. He used to train people who were on MTV music videos of the olden days. But he used to train people to quickly lose their partying pooch before the next video.
Lose their what?
Lose their partying pooch, the beer belly. Before their next video. So he goes, okay, well, you came to the right place. And she goes, okay, but I'm a vegetarian. But I think she wasn't a vegan yet. So she became a vegan on his diet. And she looked fabulous for the wedding. Before the wedding, she did her routine testing. There was no lupus. This was over 15 years ago. No lupus. She's had 2 kids since then. What did she do? Vanity. She wanted to look good for her wedding. She changed her diet. No, major miracle drama, whatever, big surgeries. She just started having green smoothies and drinking more water.
So the mind is really powerful, but that's a lot of work. So you really, really got to force yourself to want to change, or want something to change.
It's true, actually. I hear from a lot of people, they don't feel that sense of motivation, or they're like, how could you give up bread? How could you give up cheese? And my motivation was like, well, I wasn't feeling well. I was young. I used to be energetic. I wanted to become the Energizer Bunny again. And I wanted to make a big impact on the world. And I wanted to live a long life. So that was my motivation. It was easy, like bread or feel good and have an amazing life. There's alternatives to bread, which I actually like better. There's all these sweet, thick, luscious things you can have. She wanted to look good for her wedding. That was enough motivation.
Very specific. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we typically need a motivation. I actually created a course called How to Create a Recharging Habit, which will help you figure out how to actually make those changes happen.
How to create a what kind of habit?
A recharging habit.
How to create a recharging habit. Okay, so for the sake of our audience in the next 5 minutes or so, let's now turn attention to that topic, and then can we continue with the story in the next show? So let's just give the people who are watching this thing step by step. Now, how create a what?
Recharging
habit. So what's step number 1? Having a clear vision, or what?
1, I know you're sort of catching me. There's there's quite a few steps. And I'm trying to remember what I detailed in my course as step number 1, but we're just going to extrapolate from the top of my head.
Yeah, and you can take a group and call it number 1.
Step number 1, let's say, what's your motivation? For what reason?
Identify. So identify.
And what I do is I walk people through, because we have a lot of shoulds. Shoulds are not usually a motivation. Shoulds are not usually enough to motivate us. It's a deep want or deep need. That is your motivator, not the should. And even if it's like, I should exercise, I should take care of my body. For what reason? What is the gift that it's going to give you? What is the life that it's going to give you? Things like when I gain a little bit of weight and I'm in ballet class, I'm like, I can't lift my leg as high. And when I lift it behind me, that's no fun. My back hurts a little more. That's no fun. So not like, oh, I should, not eat that chocolate cake, but, oh, I want to lift my leg high in ballet. But it can be that moment like, oh no, I really want to enjoy that chocolate cake. So we're always weighing, the checks and balances of what is the bigger motivator for you? And do you really need to do that? And then we're going to look at what's the best method for you to make that happen. And it's likely that you already know in the past what has helped you be successful for changing a habit. And you could simply apply that success strategy to this area. But then I go through a series of different ideas of what's the best way for you to go about it, what's going to create a support system, what's going to motivate you. And so we go through that series of questions as well to determine, like, how are we really going to do it? And then you go do it. So I guess I gave you 2 steps.
Well, this is really practical, very interesting. And
you want me to give you? I'm going to give you the one thing. If you're just going to do one thing to help you motivate yourself, it's going to be easier to do any one of those tips if you do this first. This is also why I have another program called Energize Your Life. And it's actually, I lead a free webinar. And so your guests can go to Unlock Unlimited Energy to join at any time. Because we want to be able to often have a lot of energy, shift our energy instantaneously, but also there's a lot of motivation that comes when we raise our energy. So I'm going to give you this tip, simple way to do this. It's Friday, want to be done with work, or middle of the week. It's really stressed. Like, how do I relieve it and stay energized for the rest of the day? And I don't even have time to get up from my desk. So just take a double inhale, tense all the muscles in your body, and then double exhale and release. Double inhale, tense. Yeah, make a funny face. Exhale, release. Do that 2 to 3 times. How do you feel?
wow, good.
Good. And that will recharge you.
This is good.
Keyword.
And we need to continue this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is great. All right, what's the website people can look at between now and then?
If you kind of want to go to an overall website, you go to avitalmiller.com. And that'll get you access to, in general, a lot of the different programs that I have. Unlock Unlimited Energy for the Energize Your Life, the 30-minute webinar. The How to Create a Recharging Habit. I don't have a direct link to it right now, I think, but it's within the Embody Vibrant Health course. So when you go to Healing Happens For You, FORYOU.com, and you go to the courses there, it's within the Embody Vibrant Health course.
Great. Okay, out there, get ready to feel better. Thank you, Avital.
Thank you.
We'll see you soon.
Thank you for joining us in the meeting room at Global TV Talk Show.
Have a wonderful day, and stay safe.